The Palestinian issue has been hijacked by the communists. It's been hijacked by the left.
The minimum wage.
Totally against
What do you mean you're against the minimum wage?
Yeah.
As in, it should be raised?
No minimum wage.
No minimum
No
wage.
minimum wage.
You could literally pay someone $2 to work.
You could pay them nothing.
To me, that came out of nowhere. Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Look, no one said this yet. No one said.
This episode is sponsored by our partner at loanoptions.ai. Go to loanoptions.ai/58. You can get loans up to 50% faster. So if you're looking at car, equipment, personal, business, always go business. Try and sort out your business. Get a loan. Use the bank's money. You know what to do. Whether you're looking for a home loan or insurance, their new 3.0 platform helps you to achieve and get your loans. This is for Australian customers only. I believe they're moving into New Zealand now as well. Check it out. Go to loanoptions.ai/58. This is a company that supported us from the start for a long time now, and I really like their brand. I really like how they've moved forward. They've grown so much, and these are the number one in Australia for all your loan needs. Go to loanoptions.ai/58. This episode is also brought to you by a new sponsor of the show, X-Marshall. Go to xmarshall.com, use the promo code DIOGO. I've been looking for a martial arts apparel brand to support us. And when Dean contacted me from X-Marshall, he said he's been watching the show. They're pro-freedom, and it was a no-brainer. So they have BJJ rash guards, BJJ shorts, MMA shorts. They can do custom gear. They've got streetwear. And we really aligned. So Yusuf and the entire team, credit to them. They work with John Danaher and other YouTubers that are in the BJJ community. And I really appreciate the way that they reached out and their product in general. So they've sent me some product over, and you guys can now get a discount. Go to xmarshall.com, and on your checkout, use promo code DIOGO, DIOGO. Let's get into the show.
Bro, don't give me any politician answer. Are you funded by the Jews?
Are we on?
We're on.
Oh, we're on. Okay. All right. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Are you funded by the Jews?
Look, no, I'm not funded
When
by the
you
Jews. No. I'll tell you what. Let me tell you what.
When you do like
Let me explain
a little,
to you.
when you do a little like,
No. I'll tell you
you can't
why.
do a pause there. People are going to be like, yeah, no, see that little pause? He's funded.
All right. Let me put it this way. Let me put you the question in a more specific way. Are you funded by Jewish people that expect you to cover certain topics in a certain way?
No.
Exactly. I can say no to that too.
No, but do you see how fast I did it?
Yeah, but that's different.
You had to pause.
Yeah, but that's not how you asked me. See,
Okay.
I've received money from people who happen to be Jewish. I don't know who they are, but I definitely know there's people that have donated. Like, let me give you an example. Natalie Duma, she's Jewish. She's donated a small amount of money to me in the past, tiny amount of money, less than $200, less than $200.
Okay.
But it doesn't control my content. That's critical. That's the real question you really want to know.
Okay.
Is there anyone that funds you that has creative control over what you do?
No.
My answer is exactly the same, because I tell them to just F off.
Okay, how about...
I don't accept that. Yeah.
Okay, and you know that this is what a storyline that's been ever since the start of Turning Point Australia, and since you brought this to life, this has been a major, discussion that you've been funded by Israel.
Yeah. You know where that comes from? I mean, fundamentally, it's people that on the left in Melbourne Look, people haven't worked this out yet, but there's a lot of activists in Melbourne. They create accounts, and they have a very long shadow that is cast across the country in the political sphere. So they often create these falsehoods so that they can demonize people on the right. Now, to me, I personally, if Turning Point USA said, Joel, you have to toe a certain line on Israel, I say goodbye, Turning Point USA. You know, I'm about Australia first. I personally couldn't give a crap about Israel, Palestine. You know, that's 14,000 Ks away. I live in Australia. It was an Australian state government that locked us down, that tried to throw me in prison. It was an Australian state government that shot people with rubber bullets in Victoria. What does that have to do with the Jews? It has nothing to do with the Jews. It has nothing to do with the Muslims. This was our government that we elected, so I'm going to show people how to get those people out of government. That's my job. Now, there's some people, they try to breathe politics from overseas and a low resolution of the way they look at the world. They're like, oh, it must be the Jews. It's like, I'm sorry, I can only tell you what I see in front of me. And there are people like George Soros that are Jewish that are trying to tear the country apart, tear the world apart. He spends something like $32 billion every year in America trying to destroy the country, whether that's through Open Society Foundation and others. He's Jewish, you know.
True.
But then on top of that, there's also Jewish people on our side that are doing phenomenal work. So the idea that, you know, I'm just going to cast Jewish people out and just say, no, look, Jewish people are the worst thing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to play that game. But there's a lot of people, they want to demonize you, and that's one way to do it.
When you say people in Melbourne, because a lot of people say the elites.
Yeah.
When you say people in Melbourne on the left, can you point to anyone that's actually, you know, steering narratives in Australia that's from the left in Melbourne? Who?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not just Melbourne. Obviously, there's the Sydney universities as well, whether it's a lot of the students in these organisations like Antifa that have these...
No, but you said specifically that people in Melbourne push this narrative on you, and people in Melbourne from the left. What people in Melbourne?
Well, I'm not gonna name a name here on this podcast, but... Well, because I don't have that in front of me. I mean, you know, I've been doing this. I've been doing this for a while now. When I look at the chats online, when I see how chats get mobbed by certain, let's say, NPC profile people, they're not real people. A lot of these people. They're the same person, quite often, creating multiple fake accounts.
Yeah.
And what we see is a situation where
Tom Tanuki, is that one of them?
Man, honestly, I couldn't care less. These people just get the block from me. I don't keep a record. I don't have time. You know, I've got, you know, what have I got? 10 different platforms I'm posting to. I don't have time to keep a record of these people, nor the resources yet. One day we will, though. I'll have answers for you. But in the meantime, these people are trying to control the public discourse.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to tell you who they are or why they are, but I have to nuke them so I can keep moving forward, because the vast majority of Australians, they don't live on Twitter. Twitter is not real life.
True.
And 60 to 70% of them opposed the voice that we saw last year.
Yeah.
Which is a demonstration
Real
of
people.
Real people.
Yeah.
Which shows you, I am right to actually ban these people, block these people that are posting my profile, because they're trying to shift the narrative in the comment section.
What do you think of them saying, hey, Joel, that's censorship?
It's, you know, screw them. You know, I don't really care. No, look, if they're going to lie, steal, and cheat and intimidate people, then it's like, all right, well, look, I've got the balls to, you know, block you on social media.
Because I don't think that's censorship. I don't
think so either. You're managing who's on there. Yeah,
they can still speak. You're not saying they can't speak. You're just saying that, you know, under my comment section, you guys are just going off. It's some negativity. I'm trying to actually speak to people, but I'm not trying to censor their speech on their own platform, their own accounts.
It's simpler than that, man. It's sticks and stones. You know, you guys want to lie, steal, and cheat, and, you know, try and intimidate us to try and lose. I'm in the business of winning as well. So you're going to cop a ban from me, and this is the other thing we haven't even mentioned. I am liable for the comments that are left on my profile. Yeah, we are liable for the comments that are left on our page.
What do you mean?
If you look at this...
Because I leave my comments open.
This is critical. Because these people from Melbourne, they can plant comments on your profile, and if you don't moderate it properly, you will cop a lawsuit. If it defames, let's give an example. Now, I'm friends with Craig Kelly. Let's say someone goes onto my profile, Facebook, Turning Point Australia, and they write, Craig Kelly is a pedo.
Yeah.
And I don't filter that. Craig, we're good mates. But if we weren't, he could go and sue me for damages for not managing that as a publisher. That's what he can do. Now, if you don't believe me, go back to 2021. There was a lawsuit between a newspaper and an individual that someone had left a comment on the newspaper's comment section on their actual website.
Okay.
They didn't moderate that and they got sued and they lost. Now that is being used on Facebook. You've got to look into this, man. This is actually really critical.
I'm not a publisher though.
It doesn't matter.
Like,
it doesn't matter.
No, hold on. There's the social media, and if we're in America, there's the 320 whatever laws that they have, which blocks them from being a publisher.
Section 230, yeah.
Yeah, so it blocks them from being a publisher. So they're under different laws. But then I sit under the social media account as just an account, and I have to moderate that comment section.
This is Australian law, yes.
In Australia,
I wish I was wrong. I've known about this since late 2020, during the pandemic. If you look this up, you will find it's true. Unfortunately, it's true. I wish I didn't have to moderate it. But here's the other thing. In the public eye, do you remember when there was that, there were those people in Queensland that ended up shooting police officers? They were, what do you call them? The constitutionalist people. They don't shut up about the Constitution.
Yeah, they're what are those people called? They're called hold on, no. This is gonna kill me.
Me too.
They're called. They live off the land. They
call them?
sovereign citizens.
Sovereign citizens. So you and I are always being painted with this broad brush.
Yeah.
This sovereign citizen thing. Oh, you're a sovereign citizen, this and that. Now, at the time of this shooting in Queensland, these Christian sovereign citizens, when they shot these police officers, because the police officers went to their property, these people they shot.
I recall that, yeah.
They ended up dying. Now, at the time, there was a lot of press around different pages online that, like yours and mine, but it wasn't ours, so other pages similar to ours that were mentioned, and they said these people... There are comments in the comment section that are inciting violence on the Telegram pages. It was at that moment that I was like, I explained to everyone, I wrote in my Telegram, I said, guys, I'm sorry, I have to turn the comments off because at this moment in time, there are people leaving comments on Telegram. We don't know who they are, and they're inciting violence. I don't have people in my audience inciting violence saying, yeah, we should shoot the cops and this and that. That's not my audience. I wouldn't know. I've been moderating, my comment section for 4 years. I don't take people inciting violence in my comments. I don't take people defaming others. I don't take people doxing others, sharing their private location or details or where they live. Everything else is an open slather though. Everything else can go. But I had to explain in that moment, guys, I'm sorry. You can comment anywhere else. You can reach me by email here. I have to turn this off because there are people leaving comments on our Telegram page that is actually going to end up, you'll see, oh, Joel Jammal, this person left this comment on his page. This person left. It's an open, shot for the mainstream media that just hit you. Yeah.
Isn't Telegram different?
How so?
Maybe it's not. Maybe you can, teach me this.
I mean, is it safer as a platform?
No, as in you have Twitter, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, that other Instagram, Twitter thing that no one really uses. But these are like open platform, open social medias. But then you have like WhatsApp, which is private messaging, and then you have Telegram, which is private messaging. Doesn't Telegram sit in these private messaging? I know you can create a channel within it, but doesn't it stay outside of social media? Isn't it just a messaging app?
Yeah, this isn't about the lawsuit. You're right. This isn't about the lawsuit thing. This is more about the mainstream media picking it up.
Right.
And writing in an article.
Okay.
I saw Joel Jammal had this comment on there and he didn't moderate it. This Joel is facilitating incitement to kill cops. That was the problem. And I explained that to people and people said, no worries, Joel, I can still reach you here. I can still make comments on this platform and that platform. But, we've got an establishment against us, man. It's really rough. You've got to be smart. You've got to be very prudent. You've got to not take on unnecessary fights. They were trying to destroy us.
Do you think having these comments on. So they're unnecessary risks. Maybe I should turn the comments off.
We'll talk about that. I'm an open book with this, man. I can only tell you what I've experienced. I can only tell you why I do things a certain way. There's reasons why.
Yeah.
But they are trying to find any way to get us. Another way that they get us is they downgrade our content on Instagram, for example, by mass reporting it. They create these multiple accounts. They do a mass reporting of your particular page or post. They say, oh, it's offensive in this way, this way, this way. Boom, down, it's gone. There's a lot of people that the left are very organized in this country, and a lot of it is coming from Melbourne. There's a bit of it coming from Sydney, especially the unis. I mean, these people are well organized. They're ready to take us out online because they know that it's the number one way for you to grow your following and for me to grow my following.
What do you think of the things that's going on in unis right now?
Oh, you mean the Israel-Palestine protests?
Yeah, so in Sydney University, there's a whole, Palestine camping ground. They've sort of taken the grounds there.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting is I didn't know that until the Anzac Day. Anzac Day, they had a service which was on the other side of this building. And it was just such a contrast because you had people, paying their respects at dawn service, and on the exact other side, across the hallway, you have this entire tent cities protesting for Palestine.
Look, I have a very big soft spot for the Palestinian side. My uncle's actually Palestinian, and he was he was one of the settlers that was actually kicked out as a baby. They weren't even allowed to take a bottle of milk out for him when he was a kid. He was 4 months old or something. And a lot of people don't know this stuff about me, but I don't talk about it.
Yeah.
He moved to Jordan, and then he eventually moved to Australia. He started a large business, huge family now. He's happy because he didn't stay in the victimhood culture. He moved on with his life. He picked himself up by his bootstraps, per se, and he moved on. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have a soft spot for it. Doesn't mean they don't vocalize what they're doing. Yeah, absolutely. But they don't live in the victimhood and just stay in the way that they are and say, oh, blame other people. It's like, well, look, I'm going to make, lemonade out of lemons. These protests on the university campuses, the Palestinian issue, has been hijacked by the communists. It's been hijacked by the left. I mean, Palestine Action Group on Instagram is not run by a Middle Easterner that looks like me. It is not run by people that aren't communists. These are communists that are running it. These socialists are basically, they've hijacked a genuine movement. I mean, there's a genuine concern the Palestinians have and what's going on in Rafah and the invasion and everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions around October 7th. But it's been hijacked now. That genuine truth that was there has been hijacked, and the anger's been hijacked. And what we're seeing now is a lot of Muslims playing into this. And it's like, guys, this is not what you think it is. This is being used as a battering ram, just like BLM was in 2020. I mean, mark my words, it's been a whole year since, it's been a whole 4 years since George Floyd. George Floyd was on the 26th of May, 2020.
Who's George Floyd?
George Floyd's the guy that ended up.
Who's that, bro?
You don't know who George Floyd is?
Who?
You know George Floyd, the one that the American Black Lives Matter, America was burning down. I mean, they had $3 billion in damage that was done to America.
Bro, America's still burning down.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
George Floyd, the guy that had the knee on his neck and he died.
Oh, that fentanyl guy.
The fentanyl guy, yeah.
Yeah, that drug addict.
Yes, so kicked off. That was their martyr that kicked it all off. And then at that point, the communists came in behind it. They said, this is our Jesus, basically. This is the guy we're going to get behind. We're going to burn down the entire country so that people
Terrible
see
guy
that.
to get behind, right? Jeez.
Terrible guy, yeah. I mean, the guy held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. This is not a good guy. And, he had so much fentanyl, could have killed a horse. I mean, when you look at you're not allowed to laugh. But when you look at and this is the thing, look, when you look at that situation, they used him as an excuse to burn down the whole of America, to make it seem as though I'd want Trump out of the White House on November 4th, 2020, because I want back normality. I want what Joe Biden is, which is boring, normality, very chill. And instead, that's anything but what they got. We've got instability around the world, whether it's China and North Korea and Ukraine and Russia. That never would have happened under Trump. It didn't happen. It did under Obama with the annexing of Crimea. And then there's obviously Israel, Palestine. I mean, global instability is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Trump was feared, he was respected, and the world was better. But they used the George Floyd thing as one of the many things in 2020 to cause a lot of disruption. Heck, no one even talks about that time that the White House was under siege due to the Black Lives Matter protests as well.
What?
Look at Tim Pool talking on this. It's actually a really big deal what ended up happening with that. There were Secret Service members that were attacked and hospitalized. There was a church that burnt down on that incident. I'll give you the date after the podcast, but it was actually insane what happened there. The president was forced into a bunker. I mean, this is all on record, and talk about an insurrection. I mean, this was huge on the White House. But that's the point. This year, it appears that they're using the genuine concerns of the Palestinians or the genuine concerns of the Israelis in order to actually bring down an entire to actually create this crisis, essentially, in America for the election. I mean, of course, there were no protests in the last 3 years because it wasn't an election year. But it seems that America just has this sort of, PMS, once every 4 years when it's their when it's their federal election for the president. Anyway, so going back to your original question about the campuses, people need to be discerning in a world of misinformation and disinformation, as the government would say. Now, they are not the people to be defining what misinformation and disinformation is.
Yeah.
We need to define that ourselves. We need to get smarter. We need to work out, okay, do I want to listen to Diogo? Does he have a good track record? Has he been right on things? Okay, cool. He has been. I'm going to put him higher up. Whereas Joel, no, look, maybe Joel's been wrong on a few things. I've got to take things with a bit of grain of salt with Joel. People can't outsource this to others.
Yeah.
They need to do it themselves, and maybe they can take your recommendation if you've been right a few times. That's important, but we can't rely on the government censorship. We can't rely on, these people that come into the Palestine movement and hijack it. I mean, we've got to be very discerning.
I agree. And where have you been? Just to do a real tight switch, because people speak about that conflict a lot, and I know it's very, very important. And right. People are over there. They're dying, and there's chaos ensuing all around the world.
Yeah.
And it's very important, and there's a lot of people talking about it.
Yeah.
And I, for one, care about what's happening in Australia, and I care about individuals. And you have been missing for a little while.
Yeah.
Where have you been?
It's a great question. So I disappeared after the 20th of November.
Yeah.
How deep can I go? How long do you have?
I want you to go deep. Tell me exactly why you left.
I'll go deep. All right.
And where you went.
Because we've got time.
Yep.
We've got time. Look, during the referendum, I got very sick. 2 months before the vote, about a month and a half before
Are you
the vote.
vaccinated?
No, I wasn't vaccinated.
Okay.
I was essentially working myself into the ground.
Okay.
I ended up in New Zealand, and I was filming a few interviews while I was there. And while I was there, I got tonsillitis.
Okay.
I ended up hospitalized when I got back to Sydney. The tonsillitis was so bad, I could barely breathe. I almost suffocated. So I ended up in Westmead Hospital. And I was breathing, eating, drinking out of a 1 by 1 centimeter hole. That's how swollen my tonsils had gotten. Yeah, it was really bad. So I ended up, and this is my chief tool to get things done.
Yeah.
I'm in politics after all. So I ended up, they had to. I went to the emergency there, and they cut the back of my throat. They removed a massive amount of pus. Sorry for the description, guys. But while I was in hospital, I was forced to have a timeout. And, I'm a very religious guy. I'm a Christian. I believe in, God. Sometimes he puts you in the corner. He's like, timeout. Mm-hmm. What the F are you doing, Joel? You're working yourself into the ground. I need you to stop and think about where you're going with all this. We're going to win the referendum. I predicted it after all. Over a year before it happened. We're going to win. Why are you killing yourself? Why are you doing things in a certain way? Why are you fighting for politicians that are on our side? But mate, these politicians on our side, these supposed freedom politicians, mate, they'll still use and abuse you. There's a lot of those people.
Yeah.
Joel, there's no one looking out for you. You know, you lost your dad, you lost your career. You need to start getting serious about getting this country back on track, because we've only got 5 years. So I was in hospital thinking about this. What do I actually have to do? It was in that moment in September last year that I realized, okay, I need to build a hub for me. I need to, look, I'll still do the Turning Point Australia stuff, but I need to do my own thing completely unshackled. I need to do something that allows me to make an income for myself, pay the bills with regards to, you know, studio costs and everything. But most importantly, I need to scale what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I can't be doing all the editing myself. You know, I can't tell you how many YouTubers are still doing their own editing.
Me.
Exactly. Me too, man. And I've been doing stuff with iPhones, you know. I need to be able to scale this thing. No one is thinking about...
Luckily now I got Gabriel. We got multiple cameras here, and but editing is still doing the editing, and it is a pain, it does wear you out. I completely see where you're coming from.
You get it. We all get burnt out. But I've been doing this for 4 years, and it does happen where you burn out, because I go hard. I mean, this time it landed me in an emergency hospital. Maybe the next time it lands me dead. And I was like, okay, well, all right. How do I do that? So when October 7th came out, the Israel-Palestine thing, it really gave me the shits. I was really peed off when it happened. Not because, obviously, you know, when people dying, people getting raped, of course it's bad. Of course it's bad. You know, thousands of people dying in Palestine, thousands of people dying in Israel. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But guys, we were a week out from the referendum, and Aussies were focused on what was going on overseas.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I understand the sheep are going to do that. But the people that are the commentators... Guys, we are facing the voice referendum. It's the most fundamental change to our constitution in over 20 years.
Yeah.
And you guys just like that, look, a shiny thing. Let's talk about that. It's like when the Ukraine-Russia thing kicked off. And it's like, if we can't be as focused as the left, what the hell are we doing? And so that really peed me off. Anyway, the referendum comes around in a week. You know, as predicted, I actually predicted the results, 60% no, 40% yes, and I said 15% wouldn't vote. It ended up being 13%, so I was wrong, but I was close. Now, that vote was pivotal because it showed us how many Aussies we can evangelize to. That's huge.
Yeah.
60 to 70% voting, you know, open to voting no. That's huge.
Massive.
The real question is, and I posed this on the night on Rukshan's live stream, what the F are the Liberal Party doing? What are all the think tanks doing? Are they not, you know... How are we losing elections on the right wing with conviction politicians when 60 to 70% of the electorate are on our side? It doesn't make any sense. So I made the conscious decision, you know, when everyone was at the ARC conference, all the big podcasters, I didn't get an invite to the ARC conference. So that should help dispel a few
But
myths.
you weren't sick during that time?
No, I wasn't. I was recovered in October by the time the vote came around. But these things were at the back of my head. I was kind of dipping in and out of the sickness.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to the ARC conference. Everyone was like, great, let's take the win. We won the voice thing. But what they didn't realize was that the left were going to continue to push the state voices, the state treaty process.
Yeah.
So I kept the pressure up, you know.
Yeah, I saw that.
You saw we sent 100.
And you were one of the main guys.
There was no one.
There
was no one.
The states
Mate.
pushing their voice outside of going against the referendum, essentially the national referendum against it. The states are pushing it through by themselves.
And this is the thing, Diogo. Like, I'm 27. I'm a young guy. There's a lot of things I could be doing. I could be making a lot of money in corporate. I recognize we can't do that. Like, we're going to lose Australia. We're going to lose everything. This isn't about my own ego. I want there to be more allies that are being competent and getting crap done.
Yeah.
But at that time, everyone, you know, the no side had raised something like $20 million and everyone just stopped. Everyone just stopped campaigning. And it was like, guys, now's the time to press the attack.
Yeah.
The vote wasn't the end of it. The left are still pushing. That's what makes them win. You know, God bless their souls. I mean, with regards to how hard they're working, they deserve to win.
They're tenacious. But where did you go?
Well, what ended up happening was I did the state voices thing. We sent 120,000 emails in a week. And then at the end of November, I was like, okay, I need to go now. I need to build this war room. I can't do two things. I can't do content creation and I can't also do operations. You tend to take time off.
Yeah.
So I acquired an office space.
Yep.
Over the time I was gone. I did also get sick again with the tonsillitis. It turned out to be something a little bit more serious.
Did you get the tonsils taken out?
No, I didn't. No. I just
Why wouldn't you? If it got that bad, why didn't you say take it out? I know you have the option not to.
The tonsils serve a purpose.
Do they?
No, they do. They're your first line of sort of defense with regards to when
bacteria infections.
Bacteria. So I like it. I like it being a heads up.
Yeah.
But also I worked out exactly what it was that was making me sick, and I fixed it.
What was it?
Look, it was
diet.
I do intermittent fasting.
That's a good thing.
It's a good thing, but the problem is you've got to keep your vitamins up, and you have to still have a varied diet. Now, reducing the amount of meals I had meant I didn't have a varied diet as much as I should have. So I substituted that with a bit of vitamins as well. That's fixed it. I'm like, okay, good.
How much did you reduce your meals by? How many meals? Were you having 1 meal a day, intermittent fasting?
I wouldn't eat
2?
No. This would be normal. So at least weekdays, I wouldn't eat till 12, and I wouldn't eat later than like 6 p.m. So there'd be a 6-hour window. Yeah. Now, phenomenal. It had a phenomenal effect on my body. Mm-hmm. The problem was I kept getting tonsillitis as a result. I probably got about 3 times over.
What was your diet though?
Look, I couldn't tell you specifically.
What is your diet? Are you on a diet or do you just eat anything?
Now. I pretty much eat anything now, especially, after that. I do watch it. I mean, I'm not completely, all over the place.
Yeah.
But the point was, you need a varied diet. You need your greens. You need, your carbs. You need your protein. I wasn't getting a very well varied diet with all the different vitamins that you need.
Do you eat beef liver?
Beef liver? No, I don't think I've ever had beef liver, no.
Use code DIOGO10 Ancestral Nutrition. No, you need it. You need beef liver in your diet. That's actually like a proper... Yeah, go ahead. That's actually like a proper... If you don't have beef liver in your diet, I definitely recommend it. It's like all the B vitamins, you're trying to get it from other sources. Beef liver is the main thing. That also assists in your energy levels. And I love understanding like how people are eating, what they're doing in their health.
Yeah.
Because it is weird to be doing intermittent fasting, which is really good for you, and then suddenly just getting tonsillitis all the time.
Look, it was a combination of things. It wasn't just that. It was also early mornings, the cold on my, on the tonsils. It was also me working myself into the ground, not much sleep. There was a bunch of things I had to get right. Yeah. And so I tampered a few things, and I'm fine now. I did also go to South Africa and Zimbabwe for a bit of, it was kind of a holiday, but it was also quite educational. Zimbabwe used to be Rhodesia, fascinating country, a lot of lessons for Australia, a lot of similarities with where we're going, but also South Africa with their load shedding, which is a euphemism for we don't have enough energy. We have to do these planned blackouts because we have a stupid government. That's starting in Melbourne.
Really?
That's starting in Melbourne right now this year. And so these things were helping me educate on, okay,
why'd you go to those places though? Like why choose Zimbabwe and South Africa?
Someone actually approached me. There was a community organizer in Sydney. They said, hey, Joel, you've been working really hard. How's the studio going? This and that. I'm like, yeah, it's going well and this and that. And they said, hey, we'll shout you a holiday to Zimbabwe because we're going already. And I was like, oh, okay. Can I at least cover some of the costs? And they said, yeah, look, you can cover the flights, but we're going to cover everything else. And I was
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, well, they know that I hadn't had a holiday in like 3 or 4 years, so they wanted to do something nice, and they were in a position to do it. And so we did. We went. I saw an amazing history in Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, and I saw the similarities, the collapse of that country. People don't know about it. I didn't even know about it. I can't switch this brain off. When I'm there, I'm like, but what happened 40 years ago? What do you mean it was the jewel of Africa and the jewel in the British Empire? Yeah. What do you mean it was founded by the richest man in the 1800s, Rhodes, and he had a vision to have a train station, a train line all the way from Cape Town in South Africa up to Cairo in Egypt. Yeah. It's in the north of Africa. This guy, if he succeeded, the whole of Africa would have looked completely different. Yeah. But he was actually, and this is what's interesting about the story, the whole of Rhodesia was attacked essentially and betrayed by the British Empire, but also attacked from the outside by the communists. And when you look at the history of it and you look at how Mugabe came in and you look at how they punished dissidents and you see how people reacted, it's like, wow, Australia is at this point in that story.
Yeah.
But it also was a huge wake-up call. It's like, Australia, we've only got like 5 years left. I mean, we really need to stop this because it's going to get to the point where we can't, if we don't close this window, we're stuffed.
You keep saying 5 years.
Yeah.
What do you mean 5 years?
So a lot of people have wondered, Joel, how are you able to predict election results so accurately in Australia? Are you a part of the establishment? How did you predict the referendum result within a few, a percent basically? And it's because I see the patterns in America, in the UK. I see what happened to Brexit. I followed it in 2016. I see what happened in Trump 2020, Trump 2016. There are patterns with populism. There are things that happen. History it doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. And it's just done by different people, essentially. I do believe that's what Ronald Reagan said. And when you realize that, when you look at it, it's like, oh, okay, it's different people making the same mistakes. But if you can learn from it and you're not ignorant of history, you can actually move forward in a way that allows you to save your country.
Okay.
Now, one thing that no one is willing to recognize in Australia is no one's coming to save us. No one's coming to save us. The Americans aren't coming to save us. They couldn't give a crap about Australia. They could not give a crap.
Bro, Trump ain't saving us, bro.
Yeah, man.
What are you talking about,
Q's
dude?
Q's not saving us. No one's
Q's
saving
not
us.
saving us,
No
bro?
one's saving us. No one's saving us.
Dude,
Yeah, man.
what do you mean?
Yeah, I told you I was going to be brutally honest here.
Lad.
Brutally honest. There's a
Now
lot of things, yeah.
now tell me, be brutally honest about this 5 years. So you're saying 2029? We're in 2024.
Yeah, sure.
Quick maths.
Yeah,
My quick
I'm impressed.
It's
Maths,
amazing.
maths.
I'm that quick.
Yeah.
2029.
Yeah, man.
What is going to happen in Australia in 2029?
It's happening. It's happening.
If it doesn't change.
We need 4 things. We need 4 things to save this country, and
Okay.
we can do anything. All right. Now,
Yeah.
all the 4 things are being under attack right now. We need freedom of speech. The misinformation bill's threatening that. We need to stop the digital ID bill. That's set to pass later this month. We need to be able to continue to get our MPs elected. That is starting to be deteriorated. They're looking at adding more senators. They're looking at completely stacking the Senate in a way that helps them. They want to add more senators to the territories. They want to add more senators to the states. They want to add more members of parliament in a way that helps the left wing and the establishment. And then the 4th one is, we don't have an illegal immigration problem like America, but we've got a legal immigration problem where there's 100,000 people coming in every month. I mean, it used to be something like 150,000. Those are the big things we face right now.
Yeah.
Now, and the 5th one is, before I forget, is financial. They're looking to phase out cash. The anti-money laundering laws have gone too far to the point that they're stopping people from being able to transfer to each other that are legitimate businesses. And the idea that banks are getting behind this, they're closing branches. It's almost like they're preparing for a bank run to stop people from being able to do a bank run. They're reducing the amount of ATMs, the amount of branches where you can speak to a person. If these 5 things go, we're stuffed. We're stuffed. And the way things are tracking, look, the 5-year thing is an indicative, number. It could move to 4 years. It could move to 6 years if we buy some time and we get some wins. But that is the number I'm putting out there for debate. I think that we really need to knuckle down. And if we don't, where are we going to run?
Why do you say 2029 rather than 2030 in line with WEF's plan?
Sure.
What brings it a year forward?
Yeah, sure. No,
Because to me, I think their plan currently, it's not working. I think it's going to be pushed back way beyond 2030.
I'm very optimistic. I know the way I see what I'm doing, what other people are doing, there's a lot of people of know-how that have nothing to do with me, which are doing great things independently in Australia. I'm actually very optimistic about what's going on. But if where we are right now, today, we're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. We have a huge gap we need to make up. It's like you've got a fight scheduled in 5 years. You need to lose this amount of weight. You need to be able to do the grappling and you need to be able to do different maneuvers.
Yeah.
And you're not there yet. You're not able to run 100 Ks, 100 meters rather in a certain time. You're not able to do this many push-ups where you have to. we're not doing what we have to in order to beat the left. The left are looking like a winning side right now, and they just lost the voice. Yet they're still winning. They're still moving forward.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I'm talking about. There's a slow march here, and they are using our own tax dollars against us. It's phenomenal. I mean, in terms of strategy, these guys have been at it for 40 years. In terms of the preparation, the unions, the universities, they are so far entrenched. This long march to the institutions has been so successfully executed. The way they have controls over the ways they set culture, the algorithms, the media, they're stacking the system so that they can never be out of power. And we need to close this window, otherwise it will get us. It will kill us. We will have 15-minute cities. Once upon a time they were 30-minute cities when I studied it at university. These things are changing very quickly, and if we don't adapt quickly, then we will lose this beautiful country, and it'll go the same way as Zimbabwe.
When did they align? When did the left go from anti-government to aligning with government agendas?
Yeah. It's honestly a tough question, because some of these things I'm going to answer a bit like Putin. They go back 100 years, and that's the problem. That's the problem, man. I mentioned the phrase "the long march to the institutions." That's not my phrase. That's Antonio Gramsci's phrase.
Yeah.
That the idea was, look, the Great Revolution failed in the Soviet Union. The workers didn't rise up because we tried to seize power by seizing the military, by seizing the police force, doing a top-down thing. It doesn't work. So they realized what we have to do is capture the mind of the public. The long march to the institutions is the capture of the churches, the capture of Hollywood, the capture of the educational institutions that train all the teachers, that train all the priests, that train everything that creates a culture in the country, that captures comedy, captures the things that, have made the culture that it is. Now, that process has been happening for many, many decades, at least half a century in this country. The cultural Marxists, the people that believe that ideology, that you need to capture. A successful revolution is one where the flags don't change, everything remains the same, but inside it's been completely white-anted. It's been completely changed from the inside. That has happened to Australia. I mean, the churches were supporting the voice.
Yeah.
The mosques were supporting the voice. They were also both supporting the vaccine clinics at the they were setting up vaccine hubs at the mosques and at the churches and the synagogues. What the heck? WTF? And they were receiving money as a result. I mean, guys, what the churches were fundamental in setting up the country. I mean, the Anglican Church used to be the only church in Australia when Australia was founded by the British, obviously Anglican. They excluded the Catholics for the longest period of time, and then slowly the Catholics got in. But the point is, the churches were a founding organization. Now look at what's going on. You got the Pope, who I don't really, I'm not a big fan of the Pope, never have, even when it's an all right one. But the Pope is now talking about accepting transgenderism and all these LGBT, this slippery slide of LGBT things. I mean, guys, this is a huge capture of the institution, and a powerful institution that, over 1 billion people identify with.
Where I find issue is that I'm trying to understand exactly even where my ideology fits, because
it's messy. Yeah, it's messy.
It's quite tricky.
Yeah.
Because as I said, before I'd say I was quite libertarian. Now I've moved more to the right. And maybe it's because the left has shifted so far left, and I was in a center and they've pushed me a bit to the right. But do you think there's any positives in socialism?
I think they've got some good ideas around, workers' rights. But no, I mean, on the whole, I think it's. I used to be a democratic socialist, so I understand the appeal. But fundamentally, when you dig a little bit deeper than the surface, you realize that they're pulling at the heartstrings. It's not actually delivering the results that it promises. There's a lot of things with regards to the Black Lives Matter movement, for example, where they deliberately exclude details about George Floyd or, other people that were shot or by police, where it turns out, well, maybe they actually did have a gun. Maybe they actually did have a history or this or that. That was excluded. It was, I was a big follower and supporter of Black Lives Matter before it was cool. back in 2016 and 2017. Huge supporter.
Really?
Yeah, I was a donating member of the Young Turks.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man. My interest in politics started when I left school in 2015 over the summer holiday.
I want to get I want to get to your history, and we're going to get to the history of you in politics, because at one stage I thought you were in the building industry, and maybe you were, but then other people have said that you've been in politics for a little while. So I want to understand that a little bit more.
Man. I'm an open book.
Just still on the socialism aspect, what do you mean it's just tugging at the heartstrings? Because I do believe that there's a lot of the ideology of, helping us. Because I think countries, to an extent, should help each other a lot, like us as citizens. We shouldn't just be completely free, I believe free market, but we shouldn't be so capitalistic and we only help each other if there's something of benefit to one another. I think we should help each other at a human level. And I also believe that we should be nationalistic, because we should not only help each other, but the country that we are in, we should all fight for that country. And where's I don't see where it's just tugging at the heartstrings.
We got to be specific. Look, with regards to people that can't, like, let's say we've got an armless and legless person, and they can't fully support themselves. Yeah. Of course we should support them. Of course we should. I mean, we're not heartless. But if there's people that are living off the welfare state and they're perfectly capable of going and getting a job, and they're not, and they're just living off the welfare state, I mean, that is not okay. We can't have, because eventually what happens is, if it's easier, and this is happening after COVID, if it's easier to sit on your ass on the couch and just get all these handouts from the government, the visualization of that is it's like a cart being pulled by people that are paying taxes. Yeah. The more people that hop in the cart and just sit in it while the people paying taxes drag it along, eventually gets to the point where no one's dragging it. Everyone just wants to get on the cart, or the people dragging the cart go somewhere else. They move overseas. That's the thing about rich people. They're very good at getting up and leaving. If we want to have a prosperous country, the best form of welfare is a job. Once that, and that's not from me, that's from Noel Pearson, Aboriginal Noel Pearson. He said that we shouldn't be doing handouts. And when we are a Havana of low taxes, when people get what they actually invest their time in, when people have the opportunity in a free market, what we have is not a free market right now. The amount the government puts their thumb on the scale is not the situation that we see right now. Yeah. But when people have that fruit they can benefit from, because the government gets out of the way with no red tape, no green tape, we're in a situation where we can actually enjoy those fruits and we can flourish, and that creates more jobs. That creates a lot of things. Like the minimum wage, I am totally against the minimum wage. I think it's the worst thing in the world. I'm also against the government paying for our university fees. Biggest mistake. I was conned into it.
I don't think they do in Australia. I think, because I do think HEX is a complete con, because they upfront some cost and then you got to pay them back when you've reached a certain 80 grand, but there's interest on top of that. So it's essentially just creating debt. So I agree with you there. But what's a system, what's an economic system that you believe is the closest to a working system?
Look, I think the government needs to go back to what it was 100 years ago in Australia and 100 years ago in America.
What was that system then?
In terms of taxes, the only way the federal government, the only focus they had was defense. And the way they were funded was through tariffs with other countries. That was it. Yeah. There wasn't even a 1% income tax back then. Like this was how it used to be. The reason income taxes came in was to pay off the debts from the wars. Once upon a time, everything ran just fine, without all this money. But now we've got this bureaucrat class that try to justify their own existence, and they don't, it's like you and your camera guy right there, and it's like, okay, I want to go, can I go to him? I want to commission him to do some camera work for me. And you're like, okay, no worries, but that'll cost you, $50 it's like, but I just want to give him the $100 myself. Yeah. And so all of a sudden it cost me $150 just because you were the intermediary. I mean, there's so much of that where the guy in the middle is doing jack shit. I mean, the idea that we're having that situation, you know, that's happening everywhere, whether it's the unions. You know, we don't have child labor in Australia anymore. We don't need the unions to the extent that we do, you know, sure, collective bargaining makes sense, but the fact that it's become so entrenched and it's mandatory that you have to be a part of a union, and then these unions directly back one party or another. I mean, what the hell are we doing? This country is completely bought and paid for, and the establishment is entrenching their power, whether it's the Liberals, whether it's Labor, and they back each other. They gang up against the minor parties. They make it harder for them. I mean, it's, you know, we're on knife's edge.
Before we move on from this topic, you said just before you're against, just before, because once you said hex, I was like, well, I hate that too.
But the minimum wage.
The minimum wage.
Totally against
can
it.
you go?
Totally against it.
What do you
100%.
mean you're against the minimum wage?
Yeah.
As in it should be raised?
No minimum wage.
No minimum
No
wage.
minimum wage.
As in, like, you could literally pay someone $2 to
Pay
work.
them, you can pay them nothing.
You can pay them.
You can pay them nothing.
Or you sort of that's called internship.
Yeah, internship. Yeah, no, literally. Like, you're either an intern or you're paid anything up from zero. That's how it should be. You know, as an employer, you need to be able to extract a certain amount of value from someone. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're working at Macca's for $5 an hour, which it used to be once upon a time, it used to be even lower. If you're working for that,
but it was valued at that.
It was valued at that,
yeah.
but it was not. It was done by teenagers. It was not meant to be done by an adult that's trying to feed 3 kids.
Yeah,
you know, and this is the problem. When you raise it, it stops the younger one from getting into the workforce because you can't get, you know, $15 an hour value out of them. They're just not. They're not going to give you that. And so it creates less jobs. It's a big cudgel on the economy. It doesn't help. But what's meant to happen is people are meant to have an entry level job like that. I love, you know, ganging up on Macca's, but they need an entry job like that to give them skills.
Yeah.
You know, that's not nothing. You know, once upon a time, I think it was the 60s, listen to Peter Schiff. He completely debunks the minimum wage. He completely changed my mind on it. I used to be a subscriber of the minimum wage. Yeah. You know, I supported Bernie Sanders in 2016. He said, we need to raise the minimum wage from $10 to $15. Hillary Clinton said we need $12.5 per hour. And this is the thing, I moved on it because Peter Schiff, he gave this other example. He said, when you look at the gas pump, the cars in the 60s and the 50s were the best kept cars because when you'd go to the gas pump, there would be a kid there that would be waiting to pump your gas, basically. So you wouldn't get out of the car. You'd pump your gas, you know, you pay him, you tip him. And that kid, it was an entry-level job. He wasn't paid much, but it taught him to be on time. It taught him to have a certain way about him. Those kids ended up going on to learning and often becoming the mechanics that also worked there. You know, they checked the oil while you were there. That's why the cars were so well kept back then. And those kids, they had a career path as a result. And when you have that, you know, go on to own to become the mechanic there because you're working under someone, like an apprenticeship naturally, become the mechanic, go get your own place, eventually have your own pump, you know.
So you're saying minimum wage is currently, it destroys all of these developmental position that, you know, creates character in these young youths.
100%. There used to be boys that would go and they'd take you to your seat in the cinema. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, like what, rather than going and doing graffiti in the street, you know, and, you know, they're actually doing something of value. They're interacting. They're learning interpersonal skills. They have to show up on time. They get paid something, you know, so that they can own it. They can save up. They become fiscally responsible. Whereas off-putting that process from 12, because it was from 12 often this would happen, kids would be employed, up until 18. Now you can start doing it. I mean, that's, guys, you know, no wonder, you know, the founders of America, like Hamilton, were 25 when they wrote the Declaration of Independence on the 4th of July.
So no minimum wage.
Yeah, man. He was younger than us.
Yeah.
Are you ready to write the Declaration of Independence?
Nah, I'm also not ready to go and, you know, do a crusade at 16. That was another thing that happened. Bro, some people did some wild thing when they were very, very young at that time. That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no minimum wage.
Look, the point is, the way things are right now, if you brought in a minimum wage right now, I'm not exactly sure that would be the best policy. I'm no economist. This is a great question probably for Gerard Rennick. I defer to his judgment on this type of stuff. He's phenomenal in economics, Senator Rennick. They have much better understanding of how to translate this into legislation. But where it used to be back 100 years ago, that's where it was.
Yeah.
And things ran really well. And don't get me wrong, there were, the government should have been cracking down on child slavery sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But we corrected that. We had an anti-slavery bill and, we corrected these things over time. But now we're at a point where it's not a problem. We need to make sure the safeguards so it's never a problem. But the red tape and the green tape that's come out, whether it's the climate change stuff or the, minimum wage laws, these are stifling business. I mean, no wonder it's tough to be in hospitality now. All these, my favorite places are all closing down. In Melbourne, during the lockdowns, for example, don't even get us started on the lockdowns.
Yeah.
1 in every 4 subways were open. All the others, the 3 others were closed. That's what I found during the pandemic. I mean, this is what the government does. They don't know what they're doing. How could they? Centralized systems don't work. You've got to get out of people's way, let them do their thing, govern it so no one's killing each other, nothing illegal, no laundering, no drugs. Keep the other countries away from your citizens, and that's it. That's all they had to do. They had one job, and they can't even do that.
Who would you vote for now? Right now, as it stands, what party would you vote for?
Right now?
In Australia.
Look, at the next federal election, One Nation. I'd go One Nation in New South Wales, yeah. Yeah, most likely. The next election, I mean, the UAP, I like the UAP. They're not very well organised in my state of New South Wales.
They're bringing over Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I mean, congrats to them. Tucker will fill a lot of bums in seats. I hope he does a really good tour. And then there's the other party, which I've got to mention, the Libertarian Party. I like the Libertarian Party. We, supported them on the state election, but I don't think they're big enough to win the federal.
You got one of them elected, yeah?
Yeah, John Ruddick.
John.
Yeah, he's a good man, John. He's been trying to get elected. It's so funny, the moment he leaves the Liberal Party, he gets elected as a minor party guy. I mean, go figure. So he's in for 8 years. We supported him on a state level. I'm not particularly precious about the minor parties, which one we support.
Yeah.
I also support the people trying to reform the Libs. Gerard Rennick, Senator Antic, Senator Canavan. I mean, these are great guys that we need to support. And I do support them. So look, at the next federal election, if you're asking me personally, how will I vote on the ballot? Most likely One Nation, because they got the best chance out of the minor parties to get elected.
Yeah.
I hope they put Craig Kelly as a Senate candidate. I think he should be put in. He was proven right on AstraZeneca and Pfizer and the lockdowns and everything. He was totally right. And it's like, well, we just lost a very capable guy from the parliament, which let's try and get him back in. So
he's jumped around a lot, right? He was Liberal and then he went to UAP and now he's suddenly One Nation out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That, to me, that came out of nowhere. Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
Look, no one said this yet. No one said this yet about the UAP. Yeah. Again, I like these minor parties, but sometimes they've got to pull their heads out of their ass. Definitely. So what happened with the UAP, as far as my understanding is that someone brought to the attention, one of the minor parties brought to the attention of Craig Kelly, I think it may have been the Libertarian Party. Do you know that when Clive Palmer deregistered the party back in 2022, that you guys can't run under that name at the next election? Craig was like, no, didn't know that. Went to Clive, asked Clive, are we not allowed to run under UAP because of this legislation? Clive had a different opinion, essentially. He said, no, obviously, my lawyers, we can. He had a different opinion. Craig's like, that's pretty black and white. It doesn't look like we can run under that name. A little bit after that, not long after that, Craig was given notice that he was essentially fired from the UAP.
Wow.
So that's breaking news. No one knows that. And I don't know if anyone cares about that, to be honest.
Oh, that's massive. That's huge.
Yeah, look, I don't know, man.
And then One Nation, I guess
obviously Craig needs a tribe. God bless him. He needs a tribe. If he went to the Libertarians or One Nation, they're both great parties. So is the UAP still.
Yeah.
Except maybe the UAP, maybe Craig's right. Maybe they do actually have to change their name at the next election. Maybe Craig's wrong. Frankly, it doesn't matter. I mean, these people should all be working together under the same party.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, look, he's gone to One Nation. He's the federal director of One Nation's campaign strategy.
Yeah.
He's a good addition. I like Craig. I like Pauline Malcolm. I like Senator Babbitt. You know, these are all good people. I just want to see them work together and more. And that's, you know, if I can help with that, it's my job.
They're getting a good team together for sure. So you were a democratic socialist and you also voted for, well, you didn't vote. You
I would have voted for Bernie, yeah.
You would have voted for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
That is a huge contrast from where you're at now.
Yeah.
So where did the political journey start? Why were you on that side before?
Sure.
And did you actually have a construction job?
No, I did. Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've been working I'll go back to the construction thing because it predates the socialism stuff. I worked in construction from 2012 on the site with Dad on the tools and whatever, right up until 2018. And then I got more of a corporate job because I'd just finished my degree. I was studying at the same time. I'd finished my three-year degree at the University of Technology, Sydney, property economics. I wanted to eventually become a property developer. It's good to have knowledge of the tools. I did bricklaying, steel tying, everything, landscaping. I ended up basically after 2018 working in mortgage broking briefly. It gave me a good understanding of how banks approve and lending agencies work. Very brief. It was only a month and a half. But then I went and worked as an assistant development manager for 1 year from mid-2019 to mid-2020. And then I lost my job at that point due to the lockdowns. But going back to the socialism question, I was, after I finished my school, I studied, I was a student at the King's School in North Parramatta.
Is that an all-boys school?
Yeah, it's all boys school. Old school, like 1831 or something.
And what university did you go to?
I went to the University of Technology, Sydney, from 2016 to 2018.
Yep.
So I ended up going to King's. I got a lot of leadership positions while I was there. I was it's got the biggest cadet corps in the country. I was a cadet under officer when I was in there.
Okay, right.
I don't talk about this stuff, but no one asks usually. But I ended up doing that. I played the cello. I was the captain of the orchestra. I was the captain of my house. I was the school monitor. What else did I do? I was in the choir as well. But it was really the cadet corps that really helped me project my voice. I was also the school captain of the junior school. I was the first Middle Eastern school captain of the junior school, actually. But anyway, after I finished school, and why am I mentioning all this? Oh, Joel, you look great or whatever.
That's interesting. It is interesting.
But the reason I'm mentioning it is because when I finished school, you can imagine I was at school 7 days a week, 6 to 7 days a week for sports, rugby, everything. And so when I finished, it was like, what do I do? And this is why I'm mentioning it. In November, from November till March, I had a 5-month holiday. I'd never had that in my life, other than when I was a baby. It was just constant school. And so I had this enormous freedom. So, I got into, boxing and boot camp and, because I'm used to that from school. But YouTube directed me to an organization called the Young Turks, which is an American left-wing progressive organization.
Yep.
Talked about politics. And I mean, everything they said, I was like totally on board with. I was like, that makes sense. Why are they shooting unarmed black men? You better have a good answer for that. Why don't we have a $15 minimum wage? Why don't we have free healthcare whereas Australia has it? These are all great points. So it got me into the US election. Obviously, the election didn't end up taking place until November 2016. So I was following it for a year. I was paying $10 a month to the Young Turks. It's a lot of money for a student. I mean,
Wow. But how did you... I still don't understand how you went to Young Turks. Like,
for me,
I went straight to
YouTube,
Stephen Crowder. But I knew the Young Turks were there. YouTube sent me Young Turks as well.
Sure.
But my being rejected that. And it just rejected what they were talking. Like, to me, I could... Even though, as I said before, I would have been to the left back then as well. But... I just aligned more even with Crowder at that time than I would have Young Turks.
Yeah. Look, as a young person, if you looked at what I just told you, I'd studied the Bible a lot. I'd studied a bit of Islam a lot when I was growing up. You would have said, Joel, what the hell? You're basically, a cookie cutter Christian conservative.
Yeah.
How did you end up there? You're totally right.
Yeah.
And I didn't stay a socialist for very long relatively. I was only a Democrat socialist for about a year and a half. Mm-hmm. I followed how they screwed Bernie Sanders. I was personally invested when Hillary screwed him through the superdelegate system.
Yeah.
It gave me a huge interest in the politics. I saw the injustice. Everyone was talking about Trump and obviously him being Satan and everything. And in 2020, when Bernie was screwed, it showed me what the Democrats could do in the establishment. But then it also showed me how Hillary Clinton, when I was like, all right, well, I guess we got to support her because, Trump's such a racist. I was fully into that. And then, I thought his rallies were violent and this and that. I believed all the lies. And then on election day, I remember the day. I still remember the day. I was one of those lefties that was traumatized by him winning.
Wow. No way.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I'm funded by the Jews.
Wow.
People don't know this. Of course they don't. The people don't,
So it wasn't so much Trump, because Trump moved a lot of people into politics. I'd say I started looking a lot more when Trump came around because he's hilarious. But it was more the screwing over of Bernie, and Bernie did get screwed over. So it was more that.
But he also sold out. He also sold out as well.
Yeah.
Got an extra house. But 10% of Bernie, you're right though, and this is where all these stats come from. I was following it. 10% of Bernie Sanders voters ended up voting for Trump in the end. 10%. There was a sliver of people that were anti-establishment. Bernie was anti-establishment left. Trump was anti-establishment right. Except the way that the Democrats had it, they'd stacked the system. This is why I'm worried about Australia. But they'd stacked the system so much that they could exclude him. Bernie got 16 million votes versus Hillary's 21 million votes within the primary.
Yeah.
Whereas Trump was they still had a sliver of the democratic process in the Republican Party so that he could come up down the middle. Sure, they still made it hard for him, but that's how he won it.
Yeah.
And so what the real question is, okay, Joel, what changed your mind? Now, I don't know where this comes from. I don't know if it was schooling, my parents, my God, my religion, I don't know. But in mid-2017, I had the crazy thought. I was listening to hours of podcasts when I was on the construction site, bricklaying and steel tying or whatever. There's a lot of time and, often you're working on your own. So I got through thousands, tens of thousands of hours worth of left-wing stuff. That's why now the left think. And then in mid-2017, I had the epiphany, why don't I start listening to right-wing stuff? So I started following two people, Milo Yiannopoulos. Yeah, I know. I'm not a big fan anymore. But I saw, and then the other one was this blonde-haired chick. I forgot her name. But the third thing was, and this was the big thing, the big turning point for Joel.
Yeah.
There was a debate, which you can still find, between Ben Shapiro and Cenk Uygur. And Ben hits Cenk in an amazing spot. It was a Politico debate in mid-2017. They were talking about getting money out of politics. Okay. And Ben hit Cenk in a way that was brilliant. Cenk's always talking about, we got to get money out of politics. We're doing, we've got Wolf Gang and this and that. And Wolf Pack was an organization that was dedicated to set up to get money out of politics. And they go around the different states to get it out. Ben hit Cenk in a way that I had never seen before. And it was that basically we need to get money out of politics, but also the unions make up the top 20 or out of the top 30, 20 of them are unions. And that's what the left. And he's like, okay, well, sure, let's get money out of politics with the Koch brothers, but what are the left-wing ones? Cenk. Also, when, I forgot the name of the Republican governor, the former Republican governor, Buddy, whatever his name is, but he gave Cenk millions of dollars to start the Young Turks. I never heard that. And I was like, Cenk, what the, what the frick?
Yeah, those guys are bought, right?
Now, the only person I still listen to from the Young Turks is one guy. He's the longest person I've been listening to, and that's Jimmy Dore. I love Jimmy Dore. He is so authentic. He is a brilliant man, and he was right on COVID and everything in COVID. He stood up to the medical establishment because of his own experiences.
Yeah.
Anyway, my point is, looking at all of that, seeing that debate, it opened my ear a bit more. I started listening to more to right-wing stuff. I got through tons of hours of Brexit, the UK leaving the European Union, listening to Nigel Farage on LBC radio before he got cancelled. I listened to every day, listening to how he did it, everything that happened there, American politics from 2017 up to mid-2019, up to 2020, mid-2020. So the moment COVID kicked off, I was like, let's go. I know exactly what we have to do. I see the patterns. I know how the left thinks. I know how the right thinks. The lefties here are baby lefties compared to the ones in the UK and the US. But they only know what to do that the other ones are doing. They only can copycat what the left wings overseas are doing. But what they don't know is I know what they're going to do. And I know how to counter it. So when they hit something that we do to counter it, they don't know what to do because it's like, well, the others, they have never come across this challenge before. And so we have a huge advantage in Australia. You know, I liken it to, you know, it's like a book. The UK is at chapter 13, America is at chapter 10, Australia is at chapter 5. We can see where this is going and we can actually stop it. It's a bit like Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is at chapter 20.
Yeah.
You know, the fall of Rome, the fall of Venezuela, you know, and that's what informed me. That's where I came from. Now, I started voicing my concerns in mid-2020 when I lost my job. I recognized that I couldn't make an income anymore in property economics in my property degree because so many people were getting laid off. Not just my role, assistant development manager, but the ones above me, development managers.
Yeah,
I had development managers competing for my job in other
organizations.
How are you going to compete with that? I was back at the bottom of the food chain again, from the construction site to the office. You know, not making much money. You know, 50K, you might 45, you take home. And I was like, okay, well, look, there's not a big recruitment drive till February in 6-7 months from now. I know politics. I know how to speak from school. I know how to, you know, speak to people and connect with them. I know social media. I know filming. I'd done a little bit of stuff before then. Let's do this. And so, you know, I started a show in mid-2020. I'd accrued something like 250,000 views in the first 3 or 4 episodes. Dad passed away. He lost his battle due to cancer because he couldn't get treatment overseas in due to the lockdowns, essentially. So we lost our chief breadwinner. I had to support a widow and my family. And it was like, all right, well, the ships have been burned now. There's no turning back. And so over the 20 episodes we filmed, we got something like 15 million views. And we came from nothing. And there was nothing like it in Australia. We were explaining what was going on in America. We explained how the electoral college system works. We explained how Australian elections work. I finished up in February. I started working with Craig Kelly.
Yeah.
Before he joined the UAP, I worked with him a little bit to help him because he'd left the Liberal Party.
Yeah.
I guess the rest is history. But no, I was forced into this. They left me no choice. Heck, they even tried to stop me from graduating from university. It's another story.
No, it's quite interesting because I didn't know about that pass and the contrast from where you've been to where you are and that journey. It is quite interesting. And when you're going against something, you do need to listen to the other side, and that's a credit to you that you have done that and that you still do that because. It's in war. I think it's a Sun Tzu talks about that. You need to know how your enemies strategize. So that's right. Credit to you. And now, is there a new show that you're releasing? The Arc.
No, there is. Yeah. So I'm bringing back my old show from the election year, 2020, except it's the Arc with a K. It's not the Arc with a C.
Yeah.
That starts in 2 or 3 weeks after the budget. It's going to basically be a once a week show, 2 hours. Yep. It's a bit like Patrick Bet David's where we bring up the news of the week.
Are you going to have like a set amount of co-hosts with you, or are you going to constantly be bringing in new interviewees?
It'll be similar to Patrick's. I mean, I'd like to have a regular squad. Yeah. It's tough to find people that, you know, this is the problem with having regulars. They need to be able to give up the mic. You know, I'm used to being an interviewer and have to give the mic. That's a bit of a skill you got to develop. I've obviously been hogging the mic because I'm the guest today.
No, it's fine.
But no, with you also need to find similar people that can be like, okay, I know I'm going to be on next week. You know, but we've got a guest in today, Jordan Peterson or whoever it is. You know, please, Jordan, come on the podcast.
Can research, that can be colour, that can be specific, that know when to do each. Yeah. It is tough, especially in Australia. It's still, alt media is still a developing industry, so it is hard to find those people. Yeah. So what's the outlook for the first 5 shows?
it'll probably be economically focused for the first show. I can't look beyond the first show right now.
Yeah.
But I've got people across everything. I mean, I've got people with expertise in economics, business, comedy. It's not just, it's also culture. It's not just all, serious politics and everything. It'd actually be quite lighthearted. Got a lot of contacts. They're very eager to appear on the show, whether it's the good Bishop Maramari, whether it's John Bernard, relative of mine. He's a really funny guy. It's about bringing them all together, looking at the news, laughing at the establishment, because that's the number one thing we have on our side. People can't control laughter. The government can't control laughter.
Yeah.
That's why they ban it. That's why Albo wants to ban memes, just like Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping bans Winnie the Pooh because he looks like him. It's like, these two guys totalitarians that are exactly the same in that sense. And so, look, it's going to be a home. It's going to be a bit of therapy for people. But most importantly, it's not only going to teach people who's punching them and why they're punching them, but it's going to show people how to punch back politically. It's going to show them how to be active, how the government works, how they're screwing you, what's coming down the pipeline. It's about providing people free tours for elections so they can be better informed about the process. And I've got 24 big projects I'm rolling out over the next few couple years. The first one is, I've just come into ownership of the Light newspaper. So I own the Light newspaper. They've got 250,000 prints around the country.
Right.
So this is another thing I'm working on. You're going to meet them in WA, actually. They're very good people. And so I'm coming into that. There's a bunch of other things. That's just one project.
Yeah.
Like I've got a lot of different projects with the elections and some of the free tools that we put out. But it's basically about Australia needs a war room for the freedom movement.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to do journalism and commentary. That's great. We need that. But we need the third thing, which is
structure.
Activism. Yeah, structure, so we can do the activism. And that's the problem. We don't have that right now. And that's okay. As you said, we're still at the very early period right now. But if we don't close that gap with where we need to be, then we're going to get our ass beat, in the next 5 years. Yeah. And so I'm trying to close that gap. And the way I've set it up allows me to pay my base bills. Yeah. So I can bring people on and not always be at 100% capacity. I've always got that 20%. So that I can constantly look at how to get more time for myself, bring on a guy to do the clips, get a guy to do the editing, get a guy to take stuff off my shoulders. Yeah. So that allows me to scale up because we need that. We need a big machine. We need something that's running the ground game. A bit like Turning Point USA, how they're running the ground game for Trump. Yeah. They see a gap. There's no one doing the ballot harvesting, whereas the left are doing the ballot harvesting at the nursing homes and this and that. They're closing the gap. They see where it is. Mm-hmm. Similarly, a lot of organisations in Australia, they're not doing what they need to start looking like a winning side. This is something I fully control, unlike Turning Point Australia. This is something I fully control, completely uncensored. And it's going to allow us to have something regular. We can all be like, Joel would know, or he would know someone that would know. This is what we've got to do. This is where we've got to be. Someone needs to bring these minor parties together. Someone's got to help retake over the Liberal Party as well. I mean, there's so many things that need to be done. Mm-hmm. Again, I don't want to do this. I really don't want to do this. I would prefer to live a quiet life. I'm actually quite introverted, believe it or not. People laugh when I say that, but no, I'm actually quite introverted.
Because you're a very good people person. I got to commend you for getting people together behind the scenes, pushing, the minor parties, raising them up, saying that, look, you guys have to speak together. You also are great at communicating what's going on in politics because I'm in politics. I've been sort of thrown into the media of politics, but ins and outs of politics, I don't really know. So it's you when it comes election time and, you create the content around why people should vote for these particular parties and then let them make their decision. Commend you on that. Commend you on networking. You're fantastic at that. And like you said, we do need more structure and the alt media space is quite new. I think there's a lot of space for us to grow within Australia. And I commend you in what you do.
No, let me throw it back at you, man. I mean, I'm an open book. There's been a lot of podcasters. There's been a lot of people in the space in activism, journalism, and commentary. They've asked me all the time, how do you monetize? How do you do this? How do you do that? How do you actually get tangible change? What are we doing here, there? Mate, I'm an open book. I just want to freaking win.
Yeah.
I just want to win. I'm so sick of, there is an establishment in this country on the right, on the libertarian side, on the conservative side. The reason we're losing is them. We are losing because it's when good men do nothing that evil succeeds.
Yeah.
And that's what's been going on. That's why I'm not pursuing my career right now in corporate or whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the thing. What you're doing, you speak to the common man. You have a lot of value with regards to what you bring people. If people want to see more of your content, they should pay you that a cup of coffee a month, cup of coffee a week. They should pay to see you back online. You have a way of being really funny about your segments and everything. No, I mean, hey, this is, look, I do this for every podcast that I think it's worth it. And I think you are someone that's going to speak to a certain segment of the Aussie people. And we need that. I'm a pretty serious dude. I sometimes stumble into being funny, but you are genuinely funny. And when I look at that, we need that in Australia. And Aussies they have this larrikin spirit, so that speaks to them a lot more. But when election time comes around, it's like, all right, guys, I got this. I've done the work. I've got the team. I know the people. Let's execute. But man, you take the piss out of the establishment, which makes you in some ways more dangerous. And if people should they should subscribe to you. They should subscribe to your email list and flick you a few bucks regularly over the next few years because there's a lot to do.
I appreciate you, brother, and I appreciate you coming on. And let them know where they can find you, what they should look out for. The first episode of when Art comes out, and we'll have you back on in future for sure. But let them know.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the first episode of the Arc will certainly drop by the 1st of June. So in a couple of weeks' time now, you can follow me on Turning Point Australia on any platform pretty much, and Joel Jammal on any platform, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Telegram, Rumble. I'm everywhere. Whatever suits you guys. But look, thank you so much, man. And people, just remember that the power's in your hands. We've just got your eyeballs, but at the end of the day, we're here to inform, educate, empower you guys. But ultimately, if you want to save this country, it's up to you.
Completely agree. Thank you very much. It's been Joel Jammal.
Pleasure. Thank you.
We did it.
Right.
We did it.
I got a gift for you, man.
Got a gift for me?
I do have a gift for you, yeah.
Oh, you
Yeah,
should have
man.
said this earlier, bro.
No.
You know
Look,
we were on
sometimes
camera before?
I know we were, but I'm the sort of guy. It's not all about the camera. Yeah, read that for me.
Freedom is... Wait, is there a particular starting point?
Yeah, start from the word freedom.
Okay. Freedom is only acquired through the constant pursuit and unrelenting struggle to reach it.
Some silver, 45 bucks worth of silver. It's not just a coin.
Jeez, for me.
Of course, man. Yeah.
Thanks,
I'm not
bro.
gonna see you in a while. I'm gonna miss you.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, man. Now look, you've done a lot of.
That's killer. That's actually dope.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some mint with the ARC logo on it.
That'll be mad.
Yeah, wait for it. I'll send you some more. Or maybe I'll send you a gold one next.
That's sick, bro. I like it.
Now
I really
look,
like it.
man. God bless you. You've done so much work with regards to the freedom movement.
Cheers, bro.
These segments you do, they're not just segments. I mean,
Yeah.
It costs you money, relationships, fucking time. You put your risk of going to court, going to prison. It's not nothing. And WA, I'm so excited to tell my contacts in WA, you're coming. I'm going to hook you.
Bro,
guys
what's
up.
this?